But yeah, so, I mean, we've got Wednesday, PSG. It'll be our return with Anfield. We know PSG's record, they've bottled it in the past, but their recent history is definitely strong. We've got Salah now, who will probably start in this one. Didn't start in the first, so maybe tactically you can say that PSG don't really know much. You can maybe say they don't have anything to go off in the first game, didn't touch a pitch. And maybe we can use that to our advantage and use the magic of Anfield. The crowd will definitely be on our side.
When was the last one of those? Was it the Barca?
Yeah, Barca, for sure. Yeah. So, 2019, we went to the Porto game at Anfield. Naby Keita and Bobby Firmino scored in that one. That was quarter, semi-final Barcelona, the all-amazing Trent moment.
Yeah.
And then final Tottenham, and we were lucky in the final to draw Tottenham, to be honest, and finish it off. And that's like our last big Champions League moment. So it's about time, you know, like we're kind of every 6 to 10 years sometimes. Obviously, when we won it in 05, we ended up in the final again in 07. And then it was a long drought, really. But yeah, like from basically 07 to 2019. So now, since 2019, we're probably 6 years removed, 7 years. So now's a good time for us to do something. With Slot, it's hard to say if they'll go Slot versus Enrique. It's a big mismatch. Liverpool versus PSG right now, where they're at, it's a huge mismatch. But so was AC Milan and Liverpool in 05. So, yeah, we just got to use that energy. And that's how Slot, that's the only way Slot, for me, keeps a job. You do win me over if you can beat PSG and beat Bayern or Madrid eventually in the semis and reach the final. And then the final is anyone's game, a final's a final. But if you can do that, you're definitely, I don't mind giving Slot another year. With like Salah gone, and now you can keep building upon what your vision is and learn from mistakes of this season, then I'll give you a year. So it's not, I'm rational about Slot going out. Do you understand? It's not just pure Slot out, whatever. Like if he can definitely advance in the Champions League and get top 4 and reach the final, he's going to learn a lot from it, and he would have had a decent season. That might end up being it can end up being a decent season, maybe. Yeah, just a good one for us, you know what I'm saying? In the end, like after the Jota incident, we'll maybe look at that as, okay, that's it, we're not in a bad position.
Which means he stays.
Yeah, if we reach the Champions League final and remain in the Champions League for next season, then yeah, for sure, because I think that's something to build off, to be fair. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the main issue, is that it feels like there's nothing to build off and we're going, but it's hard. It is a hard job. It's a hard task, and it's very unlikely. And I said this back then, that because we didn't make the signings in, not January, but before the season, we didn't do the right signings and we didn't do the window right. He might pay for it and he might be able to come through, but it'll be hard, I said. And it's the same thing, it'll be hard. It's very unlikely that that's going to happen and we'll reach a Champions League final. But it's just not impossible. And being one of the teams that you've seen produce these moments in the Champions League the most, you know what I'm saying? So that's there. Like what you're saying with Arsenal, that is a big thing for us. That works in our favour, to be fair. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. And it will take tactical prowess to do that.
Yeah.
So that will mean that there's something to definitely build off and fair. Because that's what Slot is. He's a fraud. But there's something in. There's definitely like a decent manager in there for sure. So yeah, that's the thing. But I say all that, but we're gonna kind of juxtapose, because we're gonna look at the potential shortlist.
What, for your managers?
Of managers, because let's be realistic now. And I start with the positive, because I don't want to just be all gloomy, which there definitely is a possibility. But however, looking at percentage and probability, which is now we get irrational, getting into real talk, it's unlikely. And what is likely to happen is maybe we still get top 4, but we get knocked out by PSG on Wednesday, and within basically 2 weeks, we got knocked out of almost every cup or in a month. And there's not much to play for when we just a really bad team on the pitch too. And if it ends up looking like that way on Wednesday, and maybe even if we play good but still lose, like, yeah, things will be flat, and I think we'll kind of feel like we're done with Slot from that moment on for sure.
Yeah.
So there are a few players I've got on my list. Managers, sorry, that I've got on my list. And I do have, well, first and foremost, I want to start, before the list, I want to start with Pep Lijnders and a little theory that I have. And a lot of Liverpool fans, in that Man City game, because I haven't really, well, I guess I've had a bit of time to brew on it, and the Man City game was a bit fresh. It was the day after, or maybe the same day we recorded. But, yeah, now I've had a little bit of time to let that ale stew. And obviously the way Pep Lijnders celebrated, a lot of people felt like that was like over the top and he didn't need to do that and whatnot. But Pep Lijnders came to Liverpool with Brendan Rodgers back in around 2013. Assistant manager to Brendan Rodgers. And he was, all throughout Klopp's tenure more or less, he was the assistant manager. Klopp acknowledged him as his assistant manager, didn't bring anyone else in. Only one season he tried to be a first-team manager at NEC. And yeah, that's like a Dutch second division team. Didn't go very well, to be honest. Came back to Liverpool.
NEC Breda.
Yeah, came back to Liverpool, and when he came back, we went on to 2019, win the Champions League. And he was a big part of the coaching staff, assistant manager.
Right.
And yeah, and then obviously when Klopp left, he left also. So last season he went and managed Salzburg in Austria. Didn't really work well, weren't a great stint. But comes back to the Premier League, and instead of working with Liverpool, he works at Man City. Bitter rivals with Pep Guardiola. Now, there's nuances to this whole thing, right? But he is also Dutch. So maybe, and his name was in the ballot.
Yeah.
When I remember, like when Klopp announced his retirement, he was one of the names kind of circling around Pep Lijnders.
Retirement, you know.
Not retirement.
that's how much deep this Klopp. It's almost like he's a mythical figure now. I just said I'm calling it a day. I'm calling it a day at Liverpool. It feels like he's retired. That's how much they miss him.
When Klopp announced his departure and him leaving Liverpool, Pep Lijnders was one of the names kind of bubbling that people say maybe Pep Lijnders. Now,
so I haven't sacked him. Not sacked, but said nah.
I guess I don't know the details, and maybe I should do some research into it. I guess Slot brought in his own coaching staff.
Yeah.
Also, maybe with Pep Lijnders, he wanted an opportunity. Like Salzburg is quite for his level, a decent opportunity. Because when he was at NEC, they're second division Dutch. Yeah. Salzburg is like.
Oh, so he was Salzburg last year?
Yeah, last season.
Okay,
so Salzburg, Austria, one of their top teams.
Yeah.
I think they compete in the Champions League. So that's a decent job, to be fair, for his level. And that didn't work, and he goes to Man City. Now, when you look at, and I feel like maybe he felt a little bit bitter and wronged on by Liverpool and the club. I know you disagreed. You did offer pushback on that because obviously his stints have been unsuccessful as a first-team manager. Yeah. So you felt like if he did feel wronged on by Liverpool for us not picking him over Slot, then that would be not really justifiable, you were basically saying.
Yeah, if he's not succeeded elsewhere.
Yeah, that is a fair point. But when you look at Liverpool, right, and how they operate as a team and our history, there's always been a thing for like the identity almost first, and like even Dalglish and the 2 stints he's had managing Liverpool. And it's like with Pep Lijnders, as in the coaching staff, he had a massive influence, you know what I mean, in terms of the coaching staff, and that's obviously the manager. After Klopp, he's the second guy for that Genga press. He did the book, he dropped a book. After Klopp, he is the second reference when it comes to the culture of Klopp's Liverpool and our best really time in the 2000s, to be honest. and he's a big influence to that. So he probably felt like, you know what, I think I'm in a good position to get this role. Understanding the team's identity and culture, and the way they hire and the way they analyse things, why not? And now when I look at Man City, and Slot did the double over Pep Guardiola last season. Did a double over him, to be fair. What has been the change of variable? Now, obviously, Man City were really bad last season. But this season, Pep has now done a double over Slot. Now, Slot has got worse, which we just acknowledged with the PSG, like for like. But also, and Liverpool, they have got worse from last season, clearly, because we won the league. But they've brought in Pep Linders, and the way they tactically set up, all the talk we were hearing about is Pep's bad record at Anfield. Never won at Anfield. That's what they kept marketing before the game.
Right.
And then he wins at Anfield and he says what he says about, we know that they always start strong. So we knew we had to start very strong from the beginning. Even if you look at their last 3 games, Chelsea, Arsenal, and maybe another one, I forget, Liverpool, they start slow in the first 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, they boom. But Anfield, that game, they started strong from the first second, right? The info and intel came from Pep Linders, bro. There's no way that's his assistant manager, bro. This man, if he's in the stands, which he was against Liverpool, he's the man on the touchline. And the way he celebrated, to me, it tells a bigger story. And maybe we need to, not right or wrong, but he should definitely be on the shortlist. Yeah. I think, for sure. If we look at the way we think about things, the way we hire, he's now worked under Pep Guardiola, who, let's be honest, tactically can offer a lot as an assistant manager. And the way we do things and how it's so much about our identity and culture and knowing the team and knowing Anfield and being able to use Anfield as like an element, because that's a big thing that Slot's missed. Starting slow at Anfield and trying to hit them in the last 45 minutes of the game completely just ignores the element of Anfield that you can use as a tactician manager. Sorry, go on.
With Linders though, what style are you expecting him to lean more towards the Klopp?
Yeah, probably. So he's a very experienced in that style.
So with that, it'll be a whole team shift again in terms of you'd have to, because you kind of bought, you were just saying how you're trying to do this PSG thing with diminutive players like Wirtz and McAllister, like all these small. If you go back to that, you have to shift your whole team again. Like that's
so
because who would let's say the closest to a Klopp team right now, on midfield, Klopp midfield would look like what? From your players that you've got, probably Gravenberch, maybe Szoboszlai and then Curtis Jones.
Yeah, that's so Szoboszlai is at 8, it'll be more, probably what you just said. Yeah. Curtis Jones for that, which means you'd have to bring, because Wirtz is more, he's not a pressing type.
Right, but Wirtz is going to play. So then if you go Linders because you want that style again, don't you have to shift your whole team? Like you've just made 200
Yeah, so I know what you're saying. So in terms of we'll have to change our whole identity again. So and we've already invested so much in this new style. I know, in this new style. But I don't think we're too far gone. And I think some of the players, right, is they're not too far gone. In terms of training in their style, you can adapt some of them, for sure. Ekitike will be difficult, for sure. But if you take now Szoboszlai, like if we were to, Szoboszlai has got the pressing identity, you can maybe get it into Gravenberch, for sure. And then Linders still works with these guys, right? So he still has a relationship with these guys. And then obviously Wirtz will be a bit difficult, but Wirtz and Frimpong got good attitude. So I'm going to get into what I want for our new 11. Right, so I've got 3 things to get onto, right? But if we were to do this, there'll be a few players that you just need to convert. Frimpong and Wirtz can be converted. Wirtz is weak, but he tries hard. He tries to press hard. And obviously we won't really want him pressing much because we don't want to use his energy for that too much, really. And Isak can be converted too. Like, Isak can press up high and he's quick. Like, he's quicker than Ekitike is quick. Ekitike will be difficult. to convert into that style of play for sure. A little bit like Sturridge when Klopp came in. I don't know if you remember, but he was trying to implement a new style, Klopp, and Sturridge was the one that was finding it difficult to like really adjust because you had to run in Klopp's system.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he always found that a bit difficult. That will be a thing with Ekatike, but a few of them are convertible, to be honest. So.
Burns is the big one though, because if you spend that money, you have to find a way to get him in.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. I think he's got good attitude though. Like I've seen him try and press a bit, but the thing is that we're not. All of your players individually don't have to be that good at pressing if you can implement a good system of pressing, which is what PSG do. Because to even play possession-based football, you need that. It almost comes part of it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they get the ball, you need the ball back. Yeah. So like, that's almost part of it. And that's the thing, it's a system and tactic, which he is a master of. Like that's one thing that, and he's a master of that, by the way, we have to acknowledge that.
So you can see Wirtz as a Coutinho for you.
Yeah, for sure. And he can be a bit protected if you can adapt all the others around him to, let's say if around Wirtz you had behind him Soboslai and Gravenberch, to the right Frimpong, to the left, I don't know whether that's Rio Ekatike maybe, and then Isaac up top in front of him, and then in the middle of that is Wirtz. Yeah. It's all of those, but all of them need to do it, and that's why Ekatike is a big question mark and a difficult one.
Ekatike and Wirtz.
Yeah, both of them will be very hard to get in a system of pressing. Yeah. But that's another question maybe to look at, but he is on the list. But the short list for me, he's not above Alonso for me on the short list, which is Alonso, Enrique, which Enrique is unlikely, but if he's up for the challenge, then maybe, because of the contract, maybe he feels that PSG, the league, isn't challenging enough. Yeah. I mean, never seen him in a Prem. Yeah. So maybe him. Yeah. He's on the list for sure, especially with the way they played. The way they played and what I saw, he's on the list.
Since you're going down the route of former coaches or players, have you thought of Arbeloa? Have you been following Arbeloa or not?
So obviously Arbeloa was our right back in the day. He went to Madrid, proper Madrid guy though, more than Liverpool for sure. Like he definitely loves there more. But I've been watching him. I think, funnily enough, if you take first half Madrid, Alonso, second half Madrid, Arbeloa, I think they're stronger in the first half of the season. Things are looking bland for them. I can't see them advancing past Bayern. And they're looking like they won't win the La Liga. Right. And when you look at Alonso, if you take Alonso's stint this season at Madrid versus Slot this season at Liverpool, Alonso's been better. It's just their ownership is harsher and more difficult. That's all it is. And ours are very lenient.
Their competition too.
So
their competition too is Real Madrid are going to win.
It's easier. Yeah. I guess you can say. Yeah, you can say that, to be fair. But so Alonso, Enrique, Areola, and that's a new one. Yeah, and that's a new one, to be honest. But I think that big move has been brewing for him, and the way he's been able to just churn out whenever they lose big players, keep churning out new ones.
Everyone's hating on Arteta, but everyone's going on this Basque route. That's two Basque men on that. Two Basque men.
But I didn't mention Arteta though.
I know, but there's two Basque men that are gonna have.
But you know what? That's unfair because to me, Spanish, when it comes to football and Spanish people, they just have an understanding of football in Europe that is a higher level than most countries in Europe. It just is what it is. Yeah. But I like his style of play. They've lost big players, always been able to rebuild. We've got Kirkez in the team who he's worked closely with. But the way they pressed against Arsenal today, that did influence me putting him in the list a lot more because I just love to see it. And a high press that's done well, where the team presses a unit, so individually not everyone has to be that quick or strong, because as a unit it's done and there's certain ways to. It was just lovely to watch. So he's in there for sure. I think that big move is brewing for him. And he will be hungry. Do you know what I'm saying? Because he's never coached at this level. It's a risk because he's never coached at this level. But he's got more Premier League experience than Slot, for sure. And I think he's a better tactician than Slot, to be honest. But he's on there. And then Pep Linders is my very bottom who's on there. But yeah, maybe Linders goes higher than Areola because he really understands Liverpool's identity. But Alonso is the pole position because he understands Liverpool's identity, played at Liverpool. Obviously, he'll probably go to 5 at the back, but I think he's very experienced with 5 at the back. And lastly, his experiences at Real Madrid and the stars he had to coach who are bigger, the egos, like Bellingham, Vinny, Mbappe. You bring that to us and those lessons, I think he's in a great position now. Like, he's a few months removed from that whole situation and scenario.
And now
had time to brew on it, so good.
It's almost perfectly playing into your hands now, because you know the big fear for you guys was you come to us as a stepping stone and then go to work. Madrid thing's probably done now, so you can actually have him all to...
Exactly, all to ourselves.
I mean, he's still a Barca man too, so that's something to be wary about.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he might not just be us but he could have a very long time. He's not coming in straight after Klopp.
Yeah.
He's also had those experiences at Madrid, which is key.
Yeah.
And then now maybe you can bring that to Liverpool. It's a team that we love. He knows we love him, and if Slot has lowered the bar. That's a good thing for a lot of these new managers. He lowered the bar, so you can have a top 4 is a goal. Like, we've got to adjust our goals and what we want for next season, and our target next season is top 4. You know what I mean? It's not win the league, and then we review it in January.
Yeah.
So with that being said, now you kind of get a nice scenario, Alonso, if you can to come into. You've got players you've worked with, so he's definitely in the pole position, and it's looking likely that will go that way. I think it should, but that's my manager list. And then this is my very last thing for Liverpool that I want to come on to, and it's about signings. And I'm hearing a lot of talk about Liverpool need to replace Salah and sign this guy. Liverpool need a whole new left back, I heard someone say. And it's just like, bro, like, what Liverpool need to do is learn from their mistakes. As I kept saying, number 1. That's what we really need to do. And realise the players that we have and keep building upon that. And look, this is how I honestly feel about the signings I want Liverpool to make in the summer. I want us to go for Anderson from Nottingham Forest. I want us to go for Jed Spence as a right back, and maybe Kelleher. I've been saying the centre back all season, centre back, but it's looking like the Konate getting him under contract is getting stronger. Obviously, he's been woeful this season, but Leone and Jackoy, who we've signed. Maybe we now just partner one of them with Van Dijk, and in terms of Jackoy, he's a good ball player, like he was a midfielder. Seems like he's got the legs. And with, obviously, it'll be similar to when Van Dijk was with Gomez when we went and won the league. Obviously, it's not the same Van Dijk. This Van Dijk's pretty washed. But with the target being top 4, I think that's achievable. Does that make, with maybe a Jackoy, Van Dijk, this is how my 11 would go next season. But this isn't 5 in the back. So this is theoretically Slot, everything goes well with Slot and we continue with Slot. It would be in goal, Alisson, if we can keep him. But if Alisson ends up leaving, I would sign Kelleher. And he would be my number 1, to be honest. So one of them. Left back, we keep Kirkes, back up Simicas. Centre backs, Jackoy and Van Dijk. Right back, Jed Spence to start. Now in the midfield, which is important, I would actually go, to me Szoboszlai is at 8. I think at core Szoboszlai is at 8, and low-key I think Gravenberch's a bit of an 8 as well, even though we played him at 6. He did a job last season, but he doesn't want to defend. Do you understand? And he's been given a bit of freedom to go up, but now we're just a little bit clumsy in terms of defence and midfield and as a whole. So I would like to get Elliot Anderson in, who I think will be able to cover that kind of 6 well and cover the back a bit well. But it'll be Elliot Anderson and Gravenberch, to be honest. That'll be my centre midfield pairing. And then with that, I think you get good, or maybe Elliot Anderson and Soboslai. I don't mind them two as well. But even with Soboslai and Anderson, it feels secure to me that we've got two midfielders that have got legs back there and are quite physical. And Gravenberch as well, whether it's Gravenberch or Soboslai, but one of them and Anderson. Because that will really give us the protection I think we need in terms of defensively in the midfield. Maybe Tonali, if not Anderson. I wouldn't mind, but I think Anderson's a bit more defensive minded. A bit more. I think Tonali's quite similar to Gravenberch, McAllister, Soboslai, where they are a bit more attacking minded, but can play deep in midfield. So yeah, I would go Elliot Anderson and either Soboslai or Gravenberch in midfield. And then Wirtz as a cam, pinning just cam, he's got to be central. And then left Ekatike, right Frimpong, and up top Isak. That's how I would set up next season, hypothetically. The new signings being Jed Spence, Elliot Anderson in midfield, and basically that's it. Jack Oy, who we signed in January. And they will basically be the only new signings. Now I think because Jed Spence will allow Frimpong to have a lot more freedom in one-on-ones. I think Jed Spence being behind Frimpong, covering that right channel, would allow Frimpong to be a bit more free. Now Wirtz has got synergy with both Ekatike and Frimpong. If he's got Ekatike to his left, Frimpong to his right, I think he's got a good working relationship with both of those players. So that's already like a good connection for Wirtz. And then obviously he's got the two behind him, Anderson, Soboslai or Gravenberch.
So you think Frimpong's good enough to be an attacking player for you?
I think we need to adjust our... there's a few things I think we need to do before we get to all that. Is that we need to adjust our expectations. I think Frimpong is a good enough one-on-one winger in the Prem at his level at the moment. Yeah, I think in the Prem at the moment, he's actually one of the better players in the isolation one-on-one scenario.
He could be, but...
So with Jed Spence being his cover, I think that will actually help. Jed Spence got the legs to overlap a little bit as well sometimes if need be. So good.
But remember, we're talking about, if you want to get to the levels you want to get to, we're talking about replacing Salah's role. Has he got the numbers to, like, who brings
I will explain
Ekatike
and Isak. So, and the thing is, Wirtz has got a great relationship with both Ekatike and Frimpong. Now, Frimpong doesn't always go in behind and cross. Sometimes when Wirtz is there, they play a few 1-2s and move with each other. So there's a couple elements there. Because we kind of need to build around Wirtz a little bit, like with the money that's been spent. And he has made, one positive is he's made some decent connections. The Frimpong and him connection's been there for a while. But Ekatike and him have developed a really strong connection. Now, Ekatike, I'm sorry, I've been watching lately, and just in terms of, I don't like him being the final point up top. Like, I don't like his high press. He's very reserved. He comes very deep, like very similar to Kane. He likes to come very deep. And I don't really like that in my attackers, to be honest, a little bit. So I wouldn't mind him just playing off the left now. And when I watched for France, they played Elise, Mbappe in the middle, and Ekatike off the left. And he got a goal. He was making decent running, but he had more space to run into. And I think I just prefer that for Ekatike now. And if he can figure out a way to play with Isak, because then there's not as much asking for him to lead the press from up top and do this, which I think Isak can do a bit better. He's got legs. Isak is quick. Like I was watching the other game, even with the injury, he was looking quicker than Ekatike when he came on. That he's quick. So we can use that, and then it's just about channeling their mind. But that would be hypothetically my 11 going for next season, which I think is very possible. We convert him, but I think the key positions is right back and centre mid. They're the ones. Everyone's saying we need a right wing to replace Sam. No, Ekatike should produce about 15 goals, and Isak should produce about 15 goals. And then when we've got Wirtz, second season for Wirtz, we expect a bit better, you know. Soboslai can do some things for midfield if he's in there deep. And I think Frimpong can produce, you know, like I think he's good at one-on-one scenarios. He's decent at crossing the ball in. He's got a couple of assists doing that this season. And with Verts, he'll be able to kind of just pass it in and make the right decision. He's a decent decision maker, Frimpong is. Like I thought he might be just a quick guy that just is bad at making a final decision, to be fair, before we got him. I've learned that he's a bit patient with his decision making, like he's not too bad at making the final decision. He's not always good, but like he's not too bad at it, to be fair. So yeah, that's how I would go. Then obviously with the attackers, everyone's saying we need to replace Salah. Bro, going into that season, attacking wise, we're gonna have Rio, who's moving on up. Like he's gonna play a big role next season for Liverpool. We've got him, Isak, Ekatike, Gakpo, Chiesa, Verts. Like we don't need to replace Salah, bro. We got hella attackers in the team. We need a midfielder, the right back for sure, defend. And then maybe as a bonus you can get a spare centre back. Like if we can, maybe. But that is really, I think we got to learn from our mistake, which means not just spend lots of money. We've already spent a lot of money, and we need to go back to the Liverpool way of just developing good finds. That Jack Hoy maybe comes in, decent find. And then also, why we like to have Elliot Anderson and Jed Spence is we're missing that British identity big time. With just Curtis Jones being the only one, we don't have players that understand what this team means to this country. We just don't have it in our team. And Elliot Anderson coming in, being a big point in midfield, him and Soboslai, which Soboslai plays like someone who understands, to be fair. Maybe them two in the midfield. The press and like getting to first balls and second balls, there's things, little details like that will change for sure. And when you look at our pass, Henderson and Milner, big part of the Klopp era. You had Oxlade-Chamberlain here and there, Robertson, they're British players. Before them you had Carragher, Gerrard. You know, we've always had like a British identity which is strong within our team in camp. So yeah, I think we do need to bring that back, and that's why I would like Jed Spence and Elliot Anderson. I like Jed Spence as a defender in one-on-one scenarios. He's got good legs as well when it comes to overlapping and covering the lines. And I think a decent move is in the cards for him. He's probably going to be at England international, competing in a World Cup. And Tottenham look like they might get relegated. So that should be something that's easily achievable. So I think the signings I've said is like you're spending about 150 mil max on those. I think Marinakis will put a crazy price tag on Anderson, I won't lie, because he's just crazy. And that will be their biggest asset. We'll have to see whether they stay up or go down. Obviously if they go down the price gets cheaper for him. But look, I think these are two players that have been kind of shining lights within like I forgot the word, the shining I forgot what it is, but they've been in the poor scenarios for their teams, they've kind of been like decent. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we should look at those, and they're British. I think they'll understand, and I think they've had a good season. They're both going to be England internationals. And we need more of that in our team. And I don't think Curtis Jones will go to the World Cup, so we need more of that in our team, to be honest. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling in terms of setting up Liverpool next season. But yeah, that really tops all of my Liverpool thing to cover, because it's been a while and there's a lot for me to cover. But yeah, man, that's it. That's my manager's shortlist. Obviously, we stick with slot, and Wednesday's big, and we see how the Champions League goes. But yeah, in terms of our new signings, not many. A few British players, get them in, and just keep building on this shape and identity. But yeah, man, that's how I feel. And have you got anything to add to the end of the episode?
It's a big week, defining week for us.
Yeah,
Let's just get the job done, guys.
Yeah, big week, bro. Next weekend, fucking Man City and Arsenal at the Etihad. Yeah, and even Champions League. We can't just look ahead. Like there's, you know, we've got to look at the task that's in front of us, and that is the Champions League for both of us. So yeah, got to handle that, and then we'll see how the weekend goes. We've got Everton, big one, and you've got City, big one. But until then, yeah, we'll see you, and we'll report back after the results. Peace.